striking a Russian military airfield in the past 24 hours. That incredible explosion caught on camera. Many of Russia's long-range strategic bombers were housed there. The blast also wrecking a nearby hospital in Russia. Comes as Putin tonight is giving Ukrainians in occupied territories an ultimatum. Take a Russian passport or get out, saying they have until September 10th, making it clear where he sees these peace talks going: annexation. Next round of peace talks is on Monday. And out front now, Vladimir Milov. He is a former deputy minister of energy in Russia, served under Vladimir Putin before resigning. And Vladimir, I really appreciate your time. I mean, you know Putin. There are so few who truly do, who have worked with him in any sort of a setting, who worked for him, saw him up close. So at this moment, when you see Putin in his public appearances, you see his body language, his facial expressions, you hear the readouts from Trump on what he says Putin is saying. What do you actually see?
Hello, great to be with you again. And I think it's very clear that Putin is more self-confident and more brazen than ever. He's been really emboldened by this past couple of months of Donald Trump's presidency, because there's been a new factor which did not exist before, a very serious pressure on Ukraine, so that Ukraine accepts some of his demands. This is a totally new factor. Putin obviously is very happy to hear all this happening. And if you just listen to what Russian officials are saying, including Putin himself, they are elevating their demands. They are putting forward new demands which did not exist before, starting from transfer of control of territories of Ukraine which they failed to occupy militarily, to control over nuclear power facilities or the port of Odessa, to essentially NATO troops moving beyond the 1990 perimeter. So by this brazen rhetoric, you see that Trump's arrival at the White House brought Putin to a new level of self-confidence.
I mean, it's pretty stunning the way you describe it. I mean, do you think Putin has any trepidation or any uncertainty or feels any pressure from Trump, or literally he is proceeded to this full steam ahead?
Putin is a very, very experienced guy. He's been in power in a very difficult quarter of a century. He saw this permanent rotation of American and Western leaders. Sorry to say, he knows how to cook them. He's seen this movie before many times. Basically, he arrived in power as a skilled KGB officer who was specialized in recruitment, of saying to people what they exactly want to hear to achieve his goals. So he can play Trump. I'm pretty sure that he's extremely confident, and that this is exactly what he is doing right now.
It's interesting the way you use the word cook. So one of Trump's principal negotiators is a man named Steve Witkoff, as you know. He just met with Putin. And so he was asked if Russia kept its word not to attack Ukraine's energy infrastructure, even though obviously they did that, but they were mincing, they were playing with rhetoric. And here's what Witkoff said.
I tend to believe that President Putin is operating in good faith. He said that he was going to be operating in good faith to the president yesterday, and I take him at his word.
So when you hear a U.S. official say of Putin, he's operating in good faith, I take him at his word, what would you say to Mr. Witkoff?
Putin has a very, very, very long track record of, keeping or not keeping his various international commitments. I mean, any kind of agreements, from climate change to WTO and international trade, to human rights conventions, to arms control, what have you. He always walked away from any of his commitments and never kept his word whenever he felt like it. So he has long proven track record. I can show, if Mr. Witkoff is not familiar with that, I can basically show you like a thick volume of commitments that Putin has violated, including internationally ratified legal agreements, still nominally valid today, which Putin simply walked away from. So much for his very valuable word. I think, listen, I'm in international politics for quite some time already. I have never seen anybody who really speaks out in public, some confident and delicate details of a very difficult negotiations the way Mr. Witkoff does. This is something really very unusual, because usually in complicated negotiations and talks like that, you keep details hidden until you reach certain agreement. Now, this gentleman is out there talking some sensitive issues and details. I think really this kind of negotiator is truly a gift for Putin.
Truly a gift for Putin. Well, all right, Vladimir, thank you very much. We all appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Vladimir Milov, as we said, former Deputy Energy Secretary for Putin. Thank you. And next break.